so after taking a long COVID break, and now that we're getting vaccinations and the numbers are dropping down, it's good to be at the big house at the Chicago Fire Department, and only a few short blocks from the big house over at Comiskey, as I call it. But we're here today, and it's fitting with Black History Month and with next month being Women's History Month, that we're sitting down with Commissioner Annette Nance-Holt, the Chicago Fire Department Commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a 32-year veteran. I've come up through the ranks from firefighter to lieutenant to captain to battalion chief to deputy district chief to first deputy fire commissioner and now to the fire commissioner. Most of my career has been in the field, actually crawling the halls and doing the work. So I'm real familiar with those types of things. I'm an EMT. I've been in fire prevention. I've been in the training academy as an instructor. I was a federal monitor for the Lewis class, which was a lawsuit filed for entrance for African Americans. I've been on the mayor's summer details as far as summer camp when they used to do them when Mayor Daley was here some time ago. So I've done quite a bit personally. Divorced. I was a mother, well, am a mother still, but Blair, my son, was murdered in 2007. So that started a whole new role in my life. Gun violence, advocate against guns, not totally, but illegal guns. So that's pretty much the span of my life, but always trying to give back and make it better. I was the president of the African American Firefighters League, where we tried to push to get more diversity within the department. And that's been since I've come on the job. I've been working, trying to advocate to make changes. So it's kind of befitting to be sitting here today talking about the same thing I talked about before when I came on the job, you know, creating the diversity and the changes the city needs to have.
Right. And that's great because you guys set a great example for us to the state, you know, being the largest fire department. You're the focus of a lot of when people think of the fire service. Automatically the focus goes to Chicago because they're the biggest one, right?
Yeah, we could be the biggest, but we got a lot. We can learn a lot from all our other departments, and that's what I really love about meeting with other fire chiefs in Illinois and across the country is that there's always something we can learn from each other. So being the biggest doesn't always mean you're the best or got all the ideals.
Mm-hmm. But you get all the focus.
We get the focus. Sometimes not good either. So,
right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And I'm acting like we don't talk all the time and asking interview questions, but we talk all the time.
Yes, we do.
And I've seen you at the Illinois Fire Chiefs meetings. You've been involved with other departments much more than
my predecessors.
Yes,
yeah.
Or even any of the other cities,
yeah.
Any of the larger cities in the state. You've taken that time to make yourself available, and I think that's a great thing because, again, you've got a great story to tell. You've overcome a lot, you've been through a lot, and you're succeeding. So it's inspirational, right? So what has inspired you?
Okay, what's inspired me? I want to tell you my mom and dad, their hard work ethic, and they're no longer here, but as a kid, I worked in a grocery store on the west side. So when I was a little baby, I sat on the counter. I mean, little baby. And this lady, Miss Vivian, you know, she introduced me to all the people in the community so I would help at the store as a little kid. I grew up in the community, like in communities that didn't have a lot. So on the west side in North Lawndale, in Roseland, my parents had a store there where I worked pretty much my whole life. Even after coming onto the fire department, I still continue to work with my parents. So I think the hard work ethic that they had, they came from West Virginia. My dad was a coal miner.
Okay.
So he had to go when he was young and work in the coal mines when you couldn't even work in there, but they did because they had to help take care of the big family. And so just him and my mom coming here and, you know, I would say immigrating here from West Virginia for a better life and working 3 jobs to make sure that myself and my 2 brothers had a better life. I mean, that's really inspiring. And the fact that my mom instilled faith in me, faith in God, and introduced me to church and going to church, I think a lot of that played a role in me being who I am today. I'm sure it did. And having a mentor. I had a mentor coming on the job. I was looking for an organization to belong to because I got put in a firehouse that wasn't so welcoming when I came on the job. And I really regretted taking this job I came from corporate America, and I would go home every day, honestly. I had a newborn. My son Blair was a newborn. And I'd go home and go, why? Just go in the bathroom, shut the door, and just go, why did I take this job? Because it just wasn't what I thought it would be when I came on. I figured, hey, I made it. I got out the academy. I'm here. But it was a lot of obstacles to that. And I think finding an organization, which then was the African American Firefighters League, and meeting my mentor, Nick Russell and Jim Wimbush, who are both retired off this job, it meant a lot to have men who supported me and mentored me throughout my career. And I mean, today we still stay in touch. So I think without having a strong mentor or somebody you can lean on, especially in a profession that's really not geared or doesn't have a lot of women in it, it's really important in your success. And not saying women can't mentor you, but when you don't have women, there are other people who can.
Sure. Who on the department was your mentor?
So back then, like I said, it was Nick Russell and it was Jim Wimbush when I was a candidate. Because I had one captain tell me women shouldn't be, and he's a black guy, he said women shouldn't be on the job, they should be barefoot and pregnant. And I just looked at him and go, no, really? And I go, what is this, the Stone Age or something, that you would say something like that? You know, he's since been retired off the job, but that was his mentality. And I told him, hey, you're welcome to it, but not to tell me, because it doesn't matter. So, and then I had a captain, let me say this too, really integral part of my success was a captain, Captain Monaghan. And Monaghan was at Engine 28's house, but he was a captain of the truck, and he couldn't hear. So they said it was an explosion or something. He lost his hearing. So I would have to sit up there with him, and candidates always sit in the front. And back then we had a joker stand where they keyed in and out, and he used to say, what'd they say? So when you first brand new, you go, damn, this is hard. And so then I started learning it. And so I would sit there and study. When I had to do housework and help to cook or drill, I would sit there and study. And he really took me under his wings, and he taught me the truck and how to drive the truck. He did what my officer on the engine wouldn't do, and I wasn't even on the truck. So he ensured that I had that. And I'll tell you, when I got promoted to lieutenant, I got promoted in 2.5 years. This man shows up at my house. He go, I hope I'm not offending you. He gave me a t-shirt. It says I go from 0 to you know what with a ITCH on it. He go, I hope this not offending you. He was like, I saw so much in you. And he was like, you didn't let nobody bother you. You were just like, I got this, you know. And so I think having people that give you an opportunity, it makes it so much better. Because if people just close their eyes and just, or ears, and don't give you that opportunity, it's a hard fight. It really is. It's a struggle. So I was fortunate to have at least him, because he went toe to toe with the captain on the engine about me when I wasn't there, because he was trying to push me out. He didn't want me there. So I was fortunate.
So there has been a huge culture change over the last 30 years, and you've been at the forefront of that, right? You've kind of taken the brunt of it and been in a push behind it. So
I think there were women before me that came in the door. Lauren Howard, she was a white female. She came in 1980, and she was the first woman, period. And she came on during the strike. So she was the lone woman until 1986. So I think every step of the way, we've all taken some part of this, depending on where you were or where you were sent as a candidate. I'm hopeful and believing now it ain't the same. I mean, there are different nuances now, but I'm hoping we've made a whole lot of progress toward making this a better department for women to come on.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And for those women that you're inspiring to join the fire service, what advice would you give them at this point?
Get a mentor. Number one, get a mentor. It means a lot to have somebody you can throw stuff off of, and they can tell you, I think that's a good idea, that's not a good idea. Be prepared to meet the challenge. So like me for commissioner, if I wouldn't have had my education and my background and all my training, I might not have been a good candidate for this job. You can't wait for the opportunity to arise to be ready for it. You have to be prepared before it comes, because I can tell you, in my dream of dreams, I never would have thought I would be sitting here today like this. I always told my mentors, when I retire, I'm gonna go to another department and run this. I never ever thought it would be Chicago, and I'm not being negative. Even though other people said, they always told me, don't you remember I told you to be the commissioner? I go, nope, because I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening. I had my plan already played out. But I think to stay with it, to prepare yourself, and always surround yourself with good people and get good advice, because sometimes people don't want you to succeed, and they'll give you some bad advice. And there are some people out there like that. You know, always try to work to get it, to make it better, you know, and don't become part of that problem, because you can go somewhere and people can say, come on, and you become part of a problem instead of trying to help make it better.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of different things you learn along the way.
Well, good. You set a good role. If you've been a good role model, set a good example, and I'm
Not
sure there's
without
going to be
darts and daggers and knives, I can tell you that, because I tell you, wow.
Yeah, they should have issued you a bulletproof vest when you came on, right?
Yeah.
So good. Like I said, I appreciate you sharing all those things about yourself. I'm sure a lot of people will find that inspirational that they're watching. So tell us a little bit about the Chicago Fire Department.
Oh, well, Chicago Fire Department is huge. We have 5,000 members. Some people say we're the second largest, and some say we're the third largest. We cover all types of incidents. We actually assist a lot of suburban departments through our MABUS response with certain things that they have, because we're resource rich. We're able to help provide things to other suburban areas or downstate or whatever. We have approximately 100 facilities, fire department facilities, about 96 firehouses. We have tons of engines and trucks, ALS, BLS. We have 80 ambulances that are ALS. Could we use more? People say we can, but people use emergency services for the wrong reasons sometimes. Right. We have a MIH, a mobile integrated health unit that we have up. That's a different model in healthcare to address underserved communities. We have helicopters and boats and hazmat units and heavy rescue units. We have so many specialties. I want to tell you, I'm proud of the whole department, my firefighters and my paramedics, my special ops teams with my divers, and we've had so many water rescues, so many attempted suicides, and it's been off the chain this year. So our run volume last year was through the roof, even during COVID. Our numbers were kicking up. When people were at home, they really wasn't at home, because we were running and responding to all these types of emergencies. So the fire department has, we're going to always be busy, and fires are not down like people think. Fires are still going. Like Saturday when we had the 7 firefighters go to the hospital. I think it's just important to know that having people prepared and having units in place that we can support a big city like this is what's really important to the citizens, I'm sure, and to visitors to our great city. Yeah,
and it's especially during the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
We've stayed pretty tight talking and through all the circumstances that you've been through.
Yeah.
And the firefighters that have died in the line of duty. It's been hard. Yeah. So I'm sure it's been hard on you.
It's been real tough to talk to a mother or to talk to a spouse and tell them their loved one ain't coming home. Especially when they left and they were fine and things changed that suddenly. And COVID really, I'm sure a lot of departments suffered like we did, because we're such a large department. We lost 4 members before we could even get the vaccine. So those 4 people didn't even have a chance, but 2 after that had a chance to get a vaccine. And I think our greatest challenge was trying to make sure we keep our members safe so that they don't take it home or, they don't spread it to somebody else. That's why the PPE, the hand washing, we did so many, we sent out simulcast to all our firehouses every week during COVID. I still do it. That's what's funny. When I was the first deputy, we came up with messaging to help remind our members, this is what you need to do. Make sure this. When the vaccines came up, you should get a vaccine. When the boosters, get a booster. Keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep your coworkers safe. Because, we don't know who's going to lose from this one. We don't. We just know that vaccines do help. We've stopped the deaths now, and mostly everybody, well, not mostly, everybody who died did not have a vaccine. 4 didn't have an opportunity, 2 did. So, I think that's the thing we learned in COVID, besides operating in a vacuum almost, because it was always something, trying to put fire academy classes in. We kept it rolling throughout COVID. We had 1 outbreak there while we had the last commissioner. We put the brakes on it and we fixed it.
Right.
Ever since then, we haven't had that problem again. And everybody looked at us, but we were able to keep up with our hiring so we could keep our manning up the way it should be, where other people couldn't do that. We found strategic ways to keep our stuff running. And it worked. It was a team effort. We had not a lot of staff to do it, but we got it done.
Yeah, and I know you were really aggressive with the message. You were really aggressive with backfilling people that were quarantined,
right.
Especially in that first year.
Yeah,
my God, there's hundreds and hundreds of people quarantined that you had to work around and backfill for.
Right, and we try to keep members in their own districts, in their own firehouses as much as possible, because then we had outbreaks in firehouses where we would go out to the firehouse and actually test all the members on all the shifts to make sure, and that's how we found out we had more people. So we came up with strategic ways like having internal testing, having reports that showed our growth or our decline. Like you said, like with this the new one, Omicron, that was out, we went right back up. And we went up, I think, greater than the initial outbreak because Omicron was so easy to catch. Now we're on a down, we're going back down again. So I think that's a good thing. Hopefully no more, but I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So, okay, you've given us a good wrap-up of the department. Can you give us a wrap-up of the city, like the demographics of the businesses, of the people, those kind of things?
We're the third largest city. Right now, the demographics of the business are up in the air because of COVID. So many businesses are closed right now, and we don't know because nobody's really downtown in our high-rises. It's a skeleton crew down there because so many people are working from home, and until they bring people back, we really won't have good demographics. But we have about 50 wards. We got 50 aldermen, 100 neighborhoods, 2.74 million residents, and about 227, almost 228 square miles is the city. So it's a big city with all types of different things going on. We got water, we got ships coming in. We got like a hazmat area, what we call a hazmat south, where we have a lot of stuff coming in that could be hazardous. We have just so many different, the high rises downtown, be it occupied or unoccupied. These are all different things that we have in the city to look at, as far as industrial areas too. So, yeah, we got a lot.
So with that wide array of businesses and of people, what kind of community outreach do you guys do?
Oh, nice. So I came up with something called CFD Cares when I came in as commissioner. And that was my thing to say, hey, we're in communities, we have to give back. We can't just be like, have a firehouse, have the door shut and nobody can come in. Or we need to volunteer on our own time. So what it is, it's an opportunity for members on the department to come and volunteer while they're off duty and help us go into communities. We did a clean and green with the police in Inglewood last year, and we actually found a handgun. So we found a handgun while we were cleaning up the lots and everything else, and they were shooting while we were over there, and that's what's interesting. And then we had something else about a pop-up called CFD Cares, of course, and we pop it into communities and giving them information about the fire department, becoming a firefighter, because so many people of color have never ever experienced this as an opportunity. Like me, I never would have done it except for it was a dare from my then boyfriend. I went with him and his brothers to take a test. Look at me now. I never would have took that, but I was like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Right.
And here I am. So it's to expose people to what the fire department has to offer, including careers, being a firefighter or a paramedic, which in diversity ranks, we need firefighters and paramedics greatly. And I know we're not the only ones that do, but people of color.
Yeah, it's that way across the street and across the state. And that's one thing we're starting to get involved in, working with the AFFI, with the high chiefs, with you guys, is promoting that diversity. Because diversity is strength, right? Just one monolith of a type of person, a type of thinking is never any good, right? You want to get multiple viewpoints and experiences, right? You bring a different experience than somebody else would from another that was raised in a different area, a different city, whatever. So it's that diversity of thought that really makes us all stronger.
I think the worst part is hard for some people to accept that. It's hard for them to accept the change. I think back to Backdraft, 150 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. And I was like, wow, what a good poster they had in Backdraft. I mean, it brings the richness of different people into this department that we probably never seen. Right now, I look at numbers. My African American numbers are down drastically. Why? Through attrition, through when we had consent decrees back in the day that addressed hiring and bringing on blacks and Hispanics in equal portions of as it was white. Now we don't have all of that, and so we're losing richness in this city because of that. I think so. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's something, like I said, we're trying across the state to bring to the forefront and make a difference with it. So looking ahead to the future, what's your vision?
My vision. You just heard most of it. A diverse workforce. I mean, the one that I dreamed of when I came in the door, that workforce, and it's going to take a lot of work. This is nothing that's going to happen overnight, because to create diversity, there has to be a plan. And in that plan, you have to make sure people are coming in at the entry level. And if we get them in at the entry level, having more frequent promotional exams, so we can get them positioned so that they can move up and compete for higher level positions like battalion chief. And we get our battalion chief ranks, those are my exempts. What I have been able to do is create that diversity in my exempt rank, because I can just promote people to these positions who are qualified to do the jobs. So we have created the diversity. My first deputy is a woman. I have 2 women who are deputy, and another deputy fire commissioner who's a woman. And I have other members who are women or men or Hispanic, and it's just a nice diverse field up here now, whereas before we didn't really have that applicant pool, or we didn't have that to pull in. But I can see now, if we don't fix this, because it's been years and years and years of this, not since I've been up here, but it hasn't changed. If you bring 10 people into a class of 100, then throughout the years, through attrition, through the fact they just don't want to be here anymore, or they want to just retire, that's what we're challenged with here. So it has to be a plan in place, which we're trying to get to this entrance exam, hopefully soon, working with DHR to figure out how are they going to administer this exam, and how many people are they going to let take this exam. And hopefully we'll be able to go forward with what we need to do, and also building a bench. In order to build a bench, you got to have people there, so that when a lot of my command staff are all over 20, 30, all over 30 years almost.
Right.
We have to build a bench and teach those under us, so that they'll be able to step up and take these jobs and keep the city running like we have. So I think it's important components like that, and they all work in tandem almost to make this happen, because without that, we're going to be stuck with the lack of diversity. And people think I can do this overnight. I wish I could wave this wand and say, just like Bewitched, and make it happen. It doesn't work like that. There is a process, and I can't jump around that process to get it done.
And there's no shortcut, right? So just bringing people in the door, that's one thing. It's what happens, right? It's one thing to get a seat at the table. It's another thing to sit down and eat, right? So when you bring them in, there's a lot more work to do once that happens.
Because they have to study for the next rank. Is that engineer, if you're a firefighter, if it's a paramedic, they sign up for PIC, then it's ambulance commander. So people have to come in the door. We have to get them in the door, and then they have to be ready to keep moving up. Like I said, you got to be prepared for that next move, because if you wait, it's too late. It's too late. And we get so much study material when you get promoted. If you wait too late anyway, it's too much. Recently, we put out a couple memos telling people of opportunities that are coming now. So they got enough time to figure out, hey, I need to start studying now and not wait till the last minute. And that's for everybody. So.
Excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody out there?
Probably that for people who have never considered the fire department, it is a great opportunity to take care of yourself, your family, represent your community, to give back. And also for people who are already in the fire service, look at people differently. Don't just be closed-minded to diversity. Diversity is not, everybody puts that with affirmative action. They think we're taking somebody else's job. No, it's not like that. I think people need to just be open to change, because I know change is hard, but change is needed. And in the fire service, change is definitely needed.
Absolutely. And you're making that change happen, so
yeah, we're trying, making it feel more welcoming to women. We need women bad too.
Right.
We need women bad too.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and I know you've got 20 other things you need to be doing at the moment, so appreciate you taking this 20 minutes out of your day for us.
Thanks,
and for everybody that's out there watching.
Yeah.
And if you'd like your department to be featured on Coffee with the Chief, get a hold of JC, or you can go to the website that he'll post up, that'll scroll across the screen. And thank you for watching, and stay safe.